Welcome to this OCR Cambridge Technicals Level 3 Information Technology video where we're working through Unit 8 Project Management. In this video we're going to look at Criteria 5, which says follow the project plan and conduct a phase review of the identified project. If you've already watched the previous two videos, P4 and P4 Part 2, then you should have a Gantt chart or other project planning tool, and you should also have a project plan which lists information about the resources, the risks, the costs, the acceptance plan, the quality plan in relation to your product that you're creating. And remember what we're doing here is we're providing evidence that we've planned a project and we can follow a project to a successful outcome. So this is probably a practical, most practical phase, if you like, of the evidence, because you're actually showing that you've followed the project plan. So in this video we'll talk through how to do that and how you can provide your evidence. So on the screen here you can see a version of the Gantt chart, and this is the version of the Gantt chart that was created when the project began. So you can see they've planned out all the different activities down here. They've got the dependencies, they've got the time it's going to take, dates across the top, and then they've got the actual Gantt chart. Remember, red is lag time, so the latest you can complete the task, and the green is the earliest you can start it. And if you look at it, you've got this kind of fairly neat set of steps, tasks descending over time. Now this is the first plan. This is what we were aiming to do, or what you as a candidate were aiming to do, and potentially that didn't happen. So what we now need to do is, after a month or 2 months or a set time, you need to review the project to see if it is still on task. Now to do this effectively, I'd do a number of things. First of all, check the date of where you are, and this is just for example here, and then obviously highlight that particular column. So this shows that by this date here, let's say the 30th of September, you should have completed all these different activities. Now, any that you haven't completed are obviously now going to be completed here after this deadline, and therefore your project is potentially going to overrun. Now, first of all, you won't be penalised for this. There's no problem if it overruns. And secondly, you may find that later on some of these activities take less time and therefore it balances out. So the first thing to do is to make a list on Word, or you can write it down, OneNote, what activities have not been completed yet. The second thing to do is to be honest and make a list of why they haven't been completed. So two things there: what activities should have been completed by this date, and a list of the activities that haven't been completed. Now, it doesn't say in the specification how often you have to review or how often you have to produce the evidence to prove that you followed the project. With my students, I used to do it once, halfway through the project, and that was enough to provide evidence. You could go a third of the way through and a third of the way through again. You might want to be more uniform and go every 4 weeks or every 10 days or so on. You've just got to provide some evidence that you have followed this project. So here is the Gantt chart. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to save this, but you're going to save it as version 2. Okay, so save it as version 2, keep the original one, save this one as version 2. And on version 2, this is the one already created, you are going to add in the additional time for the delay. Now this is a really extreme example here, but basically what this says here is that no work was done over these days. This could have been due to illness, this could have been because the student was on holiday, could have been maybe they just didn't do any work. But realistically, you probably wouldn't end up with a setup like this. You're probably more likely to sorry, I don't know what's gone there, apologies. You're probably going to end up with something like this that's more realistic. So what you need to do is, where the task hasn't been completed, so this should have been done in 1 day, you're then going to extend that. So we're now going to insert extra lines. So it took me 3 days to do instead of the 1, and that then pushes on my project. This one here actually took me 5 days. So I'm going to click there, I'm going to add in 5 additional days. And what you'll begin to see is that the project is stretched out. So the Gantt chart is now reflecting actually what happened. You'll need to redate everything. So go back to the beginning here. I'll just zoom in, actually, it might be a bit easier. Go back to the dates, and you'll need to repopulate all the dates because obviously you've added additional days in. Okay. And what you'll end up with then is version 2 of the Gantt chart that shows how the project is progressing, let's say halfway through. So that was my original plan. This is where I am halfway through the project. Things are going differently. Just to reiterate as well that you won't get into trouble for this, you won't lose marks. They're looking for evidence that you've followed the project. Now let's have a look at the second thing you need to do. So you've got this evidence here. Now what we need to do is put it into a quick document overview to show that we've show that we followed the project. Okay, so what I recommend is for each of the project elements that are off task, okay, so for each of these that have been extended, so in this example we've got that one and we've got that one, fairly obvious ones that I showed you earlier. For each of them you need to talk about the reasons why the delay happened. And you should also, where possible, try and talk about the dates. So on this one, if we look at this example, my Gantt chart, I planned out that each task needs to be done so the website is completed by the 10th. I started on the 22nd of September. That's the start date. I have completed most of the task up to the 8th of November. I've not yet added the text to the pages as I need to do more research. So they give the reason why they haven't done that. These 2 pages meant to be completed on the 6th of November, but I've extended it to the 16th of November. So can you see how they're talking about the date they started the task, what the task was to add text to the 2 pages, why they haven't done it yet because they're still doing research, and what the new date is going to be, 16th of November, and obviously then the impact on the overall project. We've got some other changes they did. Okay, so the Gantt chart, I've extended my gallery page deadline to the 12th of November. So originally they thought they were going to do it earlier. It's going to take them to the 12th of November to add the pictures to the gallery. What's the impact on the website? What's the impact on the project? They haven't said that. Although they do say here, even though I've not completed everything on time, I'm not behind as I completed the contact review page, which has meant I'll be done by the 26th of November. So this is what I was saying at the beginning of the video, that although you may have taken extra time to do one of the elements of the project, you may be faster on the other elements, so it kind of does balance out. So this here is enough to show and provide evidence that you've actually followed the project plan. You've got your first Gantt chart, you've got your second Gantt chart where you're going to make a list of all the things you haven't done. So you might have done everything up to here, but you haven't done those. Okay, write down the reasons why you haven't done it. Then you are going to put in extra time to do that. So this is actually now going to take me 7 days. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 additional days. Don't forget to drag all the dates across so they match. So when you're doing your review, you can say, originally I was supposed to start the task here, look at this date, and then I finished the task here. You can look at that date. And when you come to do your P5 write-up, you've got the dates and they're in your Gantt chart. Don't forget to save the Gantt chart as version 2 so you don't overwrite the original one, because you're still going to need that. The final part of this P5 criteria says to conduct a phase review. Now, the phase review is also mentioned here in M2. Okay, so it says to carry out and document a phase review. And here it says conduct a phase review. So we're not going to conduct the phase review until we get to Merit 2. Okay, we're going to complete all of the pass criteria first, then move on to the merit criteria. So for now, we're not going to worry about the phase review. We're going to leave that until we tackle the merits. Okay, hope you found that helpful. Next up, we'll be looking at P6, evaluating, and that is all of your pass criteria finished. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave your comments in the description below. No, in the comments section. Leave all your comments in the comments section. If there's anything you wanted me to cover or advice, further guidance, just let me know. Thanks again for watching.